Welcome back, everyone. Joining us next, we have Lomiko Metals Inc. It trades on the OTCQB under the symbol LMRMF and on the TSXV under the symbol LMR, and is focused on the exploration and development of minerals for the new green economy, such as lithium and graphite. Lomiko also has a 100% interest in Lomiko Technologies Inc., an investor in graphene technology and manufacturer of electronic products. Please welcome its CEO, Paul Gill. Welcome, Paul.
Good morning, Anna. How are you?
I'm great. Happy to have you back on this conference, and we're looking forward to your presentation.
Yeah, it's really an exciting time for the company, and I look forward to getting questions and answers from some of the participants. But Lomiko right now is going through a big valuation change, and that's where we're at the present time. We've just delivered our PEA, a preliminary economic assessment, so I'm going to go through that in some detail. But I also want to give you a quick update on the entire company as well. So here we are. We're listed on the TSX, the OTC under LMRMF, and we also have a listing in Germany. We have a really interesting stock that trades on a number of different platforms in the United States, so really broadly traded. We're really excited about that, and we like to do a lot of volume with the company. We do a lot of outreach because we think this is the future. What we're investing in is the new green economy. It's coming along very well, and we hope to tell you a little bit about it. So here's the recent developments in Lomiko. Recently, since the last time we spoke to Emerging Growth, we acquired a 70% interest in the Bourrier Lithium project, which is in Nemaska, Quebec. That is in the Canada Lithium Triangle, lesser known than the Lithium Triangle down in Chile and Argentina, but getting just as much prominence lately because it is developing and has 2 or 3 deposits that are ready to be producing. And these are very interesting times, of course, because that's where the demand is when you get to lithium ion batteries in graphite and lithium. Of course, our mainstay in our big project is the Laloute Graphite project, which is now in development phase in the town of near the town of Montreal in Quebec, just about 110 kilometers north of the port of Montreal. We've just reported the preliminary economic assessment. As I said, that's a very important document produced by our engineering firm that explains the value of the company. And we've started looking at opening stakeholder and community relations offices near the location. We've got another big item, which is metallurgy, recovery of the materials. It's been coming up very good, 3.5 million in cash. And in addition to that, we have 1.5 million in flow through, which is directed at the property exploration itself. So 3.5 million is general cash. In addition to that, we were just going to start an environmental baseline as well. So we have a lot of interesting activity and really about development right now. But let's take a step back and take a look at the pictures about the project. On the left, you see the Laloute Graphite project, which has 2 areas of mineralization identified, very good road access and all of that. And the Bourrier Lithium project on the right, which is the yellow or gold. And as you can see, there's a string of other projects nearby, which also have had discoveries and exploration. So it's a real area play, and it's a good secondary project for Lomiko. So let's step back and see where we're going here. What I've said before, and I maintain this, is there has been a number of big technological revolutions that made people millionaires and billionaires. One was the computer age in 1980. We went from no computers in practically 1980 to everyone having a computer in 1990. Millions and millions of dollars were made on those stocks that were involved in creating computing power. In 1990, really the internet took hold, and we saw a big boom in internet stocks. And again, lots of money was made till 2000 or so, and again to today. Then really in about 2000, you started seeing smartphones and those kinds of developments, which really spurned another whole generation of companies that were focused on that kind of development. And in 2010, you saw social media come to the fore. LinkedIn, Facebook, we take them for granted now, but they didn't exist in the 90s and even the mid 2000s. So it's amazing to see the kind of change that can happen. So can you think, about the next big change? Well, we have, and we think it's going to be electric vehicles. I think it's pretty clear that electric vehicles make a lot of sense for most consumers. There's a few hiccups around charging stations and range anxiety, but those are going to be addressed. But look at this chart. Look at where we are now, where the predictions are. What we're looking at here in 2021 is just a start of a big move in the kinds of adaptation we're going to see. I myself have just purchased a Tesla 3, and we're getting into converting a lot of our cars, getting away from the internal combustion engine. I mean, you've checked the price of gas lately. It's insane. Let's get out of that rat race and get into electric vehicles and see if we can't save money and also save the environment as well. So what's the lithium ion battery all about, and what are the big components of it? Well, you see the number of different components here: graphite, nickel, aluminum, copper, lithium, cobalt, manganese. But one of the things to note is that graphite itself, there's 92 kilograms, which is about 200 pounds of graphite in every Tesla. There's over 400 pounds of copper as well. So that's something else that's very exciting. There's a lot of these minerals that are going to be required. So just take a note of these minerals. Keep an eye on companies that are able to look for nickel or cobalt outside of Africa, of course, and manganese and graphite, etc. We happen to be one that has both lithium and graphite, and we will expand into other ones as well. Cobalt is definitely something we would like to get into, nickel and copper as well. But the big demand growth is going to be in graphite. There's 15 times more graphite than there is lithium in a lithium ion battery. So it just goes to show you that as lithium grows, and if you believe in lithium being a big area of interest, then you're going to need 15 times more graphite. Just think about the volume there. We're going to see a big demand spike, and I think I'm really excited about where we are as a company in lieu of that particular demand that's coming. A little breakdown about the prices that we'll get when we look at the market. Various different uses of graphite in additives, the electrical industry, smelting, brake shoes, refractories, gaskets, lubricants, pencils. But the big one, as you can see, the big upside is in creating spherical graphite, which is 99.95% pure. And that is used in electric vehicle batteries and nuclear facilities. That's where the highest end is, and that's where the demand is. So the price is just phenomenally bigger than the other ones. So that's an area where not only is there going to be demand coming, but the prices are better and the economics are better. $2,700 to $2,800 per ton of material. And remember that number, 27 to 2,800. It's a very exciting number. So what about the market in North America? What's it like? Well, just recently, Canada and US have signed an integrated supply agreement for critical minerals. That means those particular critical minerals are going to be passed back and forth through the border, much like right now parts go back and forth in the Auto Pact. Very interesting development and base for this particular industry, and it makes sense. You're going to be creating parts and cars in different parts of North America, and it's already set up to be an integrated supply chain. We should keep it that way, and it's going to continue. So we have the mineral wealth in Canada for sure. U.S. economy, of course, no one needs to doubt that it's the best and most developed in the world. And so we need to see this new opportunity coming, and the governments of both Canada and the U.S. have seen it. In fact, Donald Trump before this also was acting on this and actually signed that agreement with Trudeau. So we're going to see a continued development of this area. Quebec happens to be the location of our project, a very good area because it has both mineral wealth and hydroelectric capacity, which means that as you're developing it, you're using less power and your costs are lower. So it's very good area to be in. So what are we looking at when we come to our project, the Lelute Flake Graphite project? Well, one of the things we note is we have excellent infrastructure. What you're seeing down at the bottom right is the town of Montreal, or the city of Montreal, circled in blue. Well, that's where the port of Montreal is. And you can actually take that port, and as you can see through the St. Lawrence, get to the EU and to the east coast of the United States, all the way around to Texas if needed. And these are very important locations to be able to reach, simply because those are the markets for graphite electric vehicle battery materials. The size of the property in purple in the middle there is about 2,800 hectares. Good road access all the way to the property, 192 kilometers. That's really only a half a day trip down to the port. Very easy and cost efficient to do that. Now, what we've seen is after our preliminary economic assessment, we developed a net present value, a discounted net present value down to 8% of the actual value of $186 million. So to put that in perspective, today, the market cap of Lomiko is only about 30 million Canadian, 25 to 24 million US. Well, this is $186 million valuation Canadian and about 145, give or take, US. So if you can do the math, that's definitely a big valuation jump in the company, which hasn't been realized in the stock price. So is it going to be? I believe so. I think right now, because it is the middle of August, one of the least effective times to put out news. Unfortunately, we just had to. It just so happens that we haven't got the traction. But now this is why we're out there talking to investors and potential partners and et cetera, and telling them about what we've developed. And we have an extensive news release we'd like people to go through and take a look at. That's also on our website in both French and English as well. So we think we have something here. What we look at is a 14 or 15 year mine life based on the two areas we have. CapEx, meaning how much it'll cost to build, about $236 million. And the all-in sustaining costs, how much it costs per ton to produce this material, is about $400 per ton. But what's important is the price that we will get for the material is $916 per ton as an estimated amount over the life of the entire mine. Now, the good thing to remember is that it creates a margin of almost $500 per ton. That's a very good margin. We'll be able to survive any ups and downs. But more importantly, when the price of graphite goes up, we'll benefit tremendously. Our competitors are pricing their graphite for their markets at $1,700 or $1,400 per ton. We're operational and profitable at $900 per ton. So imagine what would happen if the prices jumped, and they may, to $1,400 or $1,500. We can't predict that, but there might be supply chain crunches that allow that to happen. Well, we're perfectly situated to jump in at that particular time. Now, we do own the property 100%. There is a 1.5% net smelter return, meaning we have to pay out some upon the development or the processing of the material. That can be paid down to 1% and negotiated for 500 or 1.5 million. So beyond that, here is a good picture of the design of the mine itself. And as you can see on the left-hand side, you have the anomalies that we've been exploring that are basically been converted into open pits. And what you see is these black areas on the screen are the open pits. There's 4 of them, essentially. The top one is electric vehicle north, electric vehicle south, and then graphene battery north, graphene battery south. And the triple lines that you see on the screen that are around a blank area, that's an area where we'll have a co-disposal facility. Excuse me. A co-disposal facility in which we'll have some of the material that is waste rock piled there for storage, and also when we process material, we can store some of the material after processing there as well. So it's a very tight structure, a very doable situation, and all these areas here are basically in land that is used for hunting or ATV. So we'll probably deal with some of the people in the local area in regards to that and develop some ideas for them on how to mitigate their loss of use of the land. But it's very doable. I think it's a very good area to develop. The government of Quebec, we will be participating in discussions with them about their participation in the project. Of course, that's a given. They have supported other projects that are similar to ours to the tune of 20% of the total cost of development, which is fantastic. But I think that we can do it with them or without them. That's up to their choices. Now, what's exciting about Lomiko is we have about 237 million shares out now. Outstanding 70 million. We're happy to even get to 300 million because we'll increase our cash position by about $10 million, $9.4 million, if we were to get those warrants exercised. And most of those warrants are at 15 cents now. But that market cap is, like, as I said, between 25 and 28 or 30 million. What we have to tell people now is that our direct competitors in Quebec are Nouveau-Monde Graphite. They happen to have a market cap of $400 million US. Imagine that. That's incredible how big that is. They are listed in the New York Stock Exchange at $7 a share. So what's the potential for Lomiko? Well, we definitely think we have a very similar structure, comparable to that particular deposit. We don't have as much development done. We need to do pre-feasibility and feasibility, but the potential is there. And I think that's what we're all here to see. We want to see something that's undervalued and that's ready to move. And that's where we fit in. I think Lomiko is something you should consider. Definitely hold a position long-term. If you are, consult your investment advisor about anything you might do. But happy to take questions, Anna. Thanks very much.
Thank you, Paul. We do have quite a few questions, so let's start. So you just put the biggest news in the history of the company out. Tell us about La Loutre Graphite Project PEA. Talk about that, Paul.
Yeah, as I said, what we have is a valuation now of $186 million on that one project alone. Forget about everything else that's in the company. So that's exciting news. We're now going out to talking to other people. that are potential investors. We'll need to raise that $236 million to develop the project. That's the next big step. We don't have to do it all at once. We'll do a pre-feasibility and feasibility, but we really have the road paved out in front of us, and I think that valuation speaks for itself. It's a very detailed news release. I encourage people to read through it, especially the sensitivity tables, which show what's going to happen if the U.S. dollar depreciates against the Canadian dollar, what the advantage is to Lomiko, and also what happens when the graphite price increases from where we have it at $916. I mean, the internal rate of return goes up, the valuation of the project goes up tremendously.
Talk a little bit more about your properties, La Loutre and La Bourrière. Which one will be producing first? And at that time, will you be looking for additional properties?
Yeah, we will continue to look for additional properties. That's in the plan to develop other types of mineral properties. I think at this point in time, Bourrière hasn't even started exploration. We're doing the first exploration on Bourrière, so it's a long ways away. We have to make a discovery there. We have a lot of land to look over. It's 25 kilometers long, about 18 miles of basically dense brush and crags and all of that to explore. La Loutre is, of course, going to be developed first. I mean, we've delivered this very extensive report. There's going to be a backup engineering report by Ausenco, and which will have components in it from the environmental group Hemera, the metallurgical group SGS, and a number of other marketing groups have participated in providing us with pricing, including Benchmark Minerals.
Paul, where do you see the production cost of graphite versus lithium going? Historically, which has had the highest margins?
Yeah, I think that there's interesting question, because in the brine plays, what you find is that the lithium, the brine actually contains potash, lithium, iodine, and other materials. So it's a soup of chemicals that then has to be separated. That's an expensive process, but it never gets to very high grades. So it's a trade-off, because there's a certain point in which you don't want to process it. You send it off to the customer, usually in China, who then reprocesses the material as lithium carbonate. So that's a particular type of cost that's baked in. In regards to the lithium that's found in Canada, that's more coming from spodumene or pegmatite, which is hard rock, and that produces a product called lithium hydroxide. Lithium hydroxide can then be separated into pure lithium metal, which is much better for battery materials. So it's a trade-off as to which one is going to be a better one. I tend to go with lithium hydroxide, because you don't get those crazy fires, because one of the big contaminants of the lithium brines is magnesium, and that's what causes the fires, I believe, in some of the batteries that are out there. Graphite is much cheaper to produce and much cheaper to sells a lot cheaper, but it's two different parts of the battery. Lithium is used for the cathode portion of the battery, along with nickel, and then the anode, which receives the charge, is usually graphite. So they're both needed. They don't supplant each other right now. There may be some designs in the future, but right now you need both of them. You should cover both of them in your portfolio.
Good to know. So assuming all warrants are exercised, what will the total outstanding be, and how much capital will that raise?
Yeah, it's right there on the screen, 308 million shares out. And we will raise additionally another 9.5 million on top of the 5 million we have in the till now. So that'll get us quite a ways down the road to feasibility. And then what you're doing in feasibility, feasibility is drilling further portions of the deposit in order to further define it to proven and probable from what it is now indicated and inferred. So it just means drilling holes closer together, so you have a sort of more pins in the pin cushion, so you know exactly what's there. So that's the purpose of the additional monies in drilling. So I think it'll get us a long way there. We will have to and want to include partners on the way, and that's the next step now, is really getting out there for the next 6 months, telling the story and getting those partners. And, the help we get from retail investors is tremendous. I mean, we've always enjoyed good experiences in talking to retail investors. I mean, they're vitally important to this ecosystem. Without retail investors, we wouldn't get the word out. We wouldn't get people talking about us. And so, I cannot stress more that we believe in the retail investors and their right to have an opportunity like this. And that's why I'm out here talking, is that it's a very special time for our company. I can't stress that more. And I really would like to have involvement from individual people who may not change their lives, but it'll pay off a car or part of a house mortgage. I mean, that to me would be a very good effect for people who invest in the company.
When do you hope to be cash flow positive?
That won't happen until quite a ways down the road, because not only when we build, we'll have a revenue. That'll be in 2025 or 2026 when we have start of revenue and start of the mine. Then after about 4 years, where the payback is, then we'll break even and start cash flowing.
When is the next drill program planned on La Lute?
That's this winter with infill drilling and geochemical drilling to ensure that we have good information on the project.
A last question, talk a little bit about Prometheus and some of the updates there on the tech side of Lomiko.
Yeah, Prometheus is one of the companies that we've put all of our tech assets into, and it is going public in the Dutch Caribbean Exchange. It's an interesting time. Unfortunately, that's been delayed with COVID and people not being able to travel to get into the country to actually make the applications for their visas. But essentially, we plan to raise about $5 to $6 million US and develop some of the technologies we have there, which includes graphene energy storage devices, which is a storage device made entirely of graphene that we developed with Stony Brook University, and also the SHD smart home device, which we just put news out on, which is an interesting USB powered charger that replaces your wall plug with USB portals on the sides, so that you won't be blocking the actual two receptacles. So it's a real good development in that field, and we just received a patent on that tech as well. So we're busy on all fronts.
Good. Well, you're ending on a high note. Thank you so much for this great presentation, and we look forward to hearing your updates in the near future, Paul.
Thanks very much, Anna. Have a good day.
All right. Thank you. Okay, everyone, remember, as we transition to the next presenter, you're going to see a black screen, but stay with us because we are coming right back.